Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's show, we're going to briefly look at this boxwood here. Garden variety type up here in the upper Midwest. This box would be used for a lot of shrubs and a lot of different homes. I believe I got it at the Home Depot last year, early spring. Put it in a pot in the spring and then pretty much left it alone. Now, unfortunately, this tree had a few incidents. I don't remember if it was all critters or just the wind one day, but I know the wind at least one of the days blew it off of the stand it was on, or the porch railing, and fell about 4 or 5 feet. Landed sideways, apparently, no real damage. I put it back in the pot, and after taking it out of the cold frame this spring, I just want to make sure it was all right. So it's been out of the cold frame since early March, or very late February. I think it was the first part of March. And as you can see, I got some leggy growth already all over the place on this boxwood. Growing up here, growing over here, growing on the side right here, in the back here, which is good. It's giving it some three-dimensional, because it was kind of a flat tree before, so I don't want to do too much with that, but I have to figure this out. So this is kind of a twin trunk style. So this is my twin trunk boxwood, and we're going to just take a peek at it and see what we can do to possibly clean this thing up and maybe do some directional pruning today. Nothing major. Don't even think that I'll wire it today. I just want to take a peek and do some directional pruning on this thing. So because I want the two trunk style, you'll notice right away that when you look at the two trunks of this tree, I got the two main trunks here. So I got right here and right here. So these two trunks are the two trunks that are the main trunks. My question is what to do with this branch. So typically when you style mini bonsais, we work from the bottom towards the top. You still want to keep the overall look in mind when you're making any cuts. But we're going to go here and look through this a little bit and see what branches we don't need. And the branches we don't need will be, at first, probably just getting rid of a couple of the bigger, thicker, chunkier ones up here, shorten it down a little bit, because I don't want to have any reverse taper any. I want the branches to go from the wide, fat trunk and go skinnier, skinnier, skinnier. And you want it to get smaller and smaller as it ramifies and gets wider. So this is good spread of these leaves up here, but I got this branch here I might want to cut back and have them grow a little bit lower. So what do I do with this guy? I could cut it right here and then let this one grow down here, but then there's still this branch right here, which kind of takes a little bit away of the twin trunk look. We got the nice branch out here and out here. These two guys on this one. This one unfortunately has the second trunk back here, which I'd have to pull around here with some wire, which I could do to make it have a little bit of a similar look to that one. So a couple of decisions to be made. You're looking at it again as the front, so I'm going to turn it over for my view. And I think if I took this entire trunk, this piece off right here, it just opens up the tree right away a lot in the beginning. And then I got some stuff up here. This guy right here kind of takes away from the trunk line, but I could pull it down a little bit forward. I don't know, I think that takes away from the tree. You want to see the movement of the trunks. So if I cut that one back at least smaller for right now, I could decide to keep it later if it does do some nice growth. And then I just have to decide too how I want this shape to look. Do I want this to be a nice kind of round lollipop or broom style? Am I going to have it all shifting one side to the other? Will one trunk be shorter than the other trunk? Make a trunk that just grows real tall and have this one be a shorter one beside it? I'm thinking that might be a decision I might make too. So right now, I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of some twin trunks of bonsai trees that I kind of looked at, liked. These 5 are some ones I wanted to maybe design this after or just give me some ideas. So let's take a look at those pictures real quick and then we'll come back to the tree. I again, we've got some initial decisions to make. Where do I want to cut these trees? Now again, if I were to decide to change my mind someday and have that the front of the tree kind of curves this way. As you can see, it kind of curves this way. We don't want that to be our front typically on a bonsai. We want to kind of actually have it leaning more towards us. So I think I have to leave this as the front of the tree. I'm not going to repot it today, so we wouldn't change that design today anyway. But I have to still make a couple decisions for what I want to do with cutting. So since this branch, I would keep this branch to let it go wild and crazy. I could do that as a sacrificial branch. And so we're going to allow the trunk to get thicker if I leave this one here. So I think for today, I might just leave that one here. So upon closer inspection, this is a really challenging tree to take a peek at and see what we're going to do here. So I can make a couple of minor cuts. This branch right here is going way off to the side. I've got a nice bud growing right there. That bud right there. So I'm going to cut this one back to two sets of leaves, and then hope these two can branch out to make some ramification there. Same with this back one right here. This back one here has one growing up. I don't need the one growing up. This is the old one, and this has 3 or 4 sets of leaves here, so I'm going to leave this one to 3 or 4 sets of leaves and cut that one, and these two will hopefully grow out and show some ramification. I like the back growth back here, so I don't really want to mess with this too much. I'm just going to cut it down here to leave about 3 or 4 leaves here so it matches the height of this one, and those two can kind of continue to grow and hopefully split off. There's also this one down here. That with wiring later on can be placed down a little bit more over here or turned, so I'm going to just leave that here. And this one again I'm going to leave to grow long to give a little bit of thickness to the bottom of this trunk. So now my big decision to make, I've got a junction right here that has 3 branches growing out of it, right here in the front. So we've got the main one coming up right here, we've got this one coming off to the side, and one that you can't see right back in here. So back here, that's kind of hidden from view right now. So my question is, if I leave all 3 of those there, I'm going to have some bulging right here in this area. I'm going to have some bulging. So we'll have maybe some reverse taper and it won't look as nice. So I have to decide which one of those 3 branches do I just want to get rid of. Now if I get rid of the front branch, lets you see these two grow. These two are growing more straight this way. I'd have to do some pushing and wiring, and those branches are getting pretty thick. I like the curve of this front one, and I wouldn't want to see maybe the sore from the wound from here either. So I was thinking about cutting the back one off, but I want some depth when I turn it this way. So I'm a little afraid to get rid of this right here, where I have some nice growth back here and some movement that we could utilize. So the other option, of course, would be cutting this one right here, because I have this branch going off here and this going off here. It's kind of redundant, 2 doing the same thing. Maybe I can cut that one off, but then those other 2 branches, like I said, these back 2 branches are right behind each other, so you won't be able to see them as well. But with a little bit of twisting and maybe some wiring, I can open this up and go a different direction with it, and we can get rid of that one. But that still is the tough decision I have to make. Now while I'm still thinking about this one, this is super long here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this one back a little bit to bring it in to size there. I'm going to bring this one back to 2 or 3 buds. Bring this one back to 2 buds. Bring back this one to 2 buds, 2 or 3 buds, and I'm going to bring this one back to 2 or 3 buds. This one I'll do the same. This one I'll do the same, to hopefully make these bush out more into more ramification. Now again, this is no wiring. I could put all this out here, have some nice flow to this tree. This one's coming from way over in this other tree, so I might be able to just get rid of that one completely, which is that back branch. And I think that's the one I'm going to cut off. So again, perhaps hard for you to see, but in this tree section right here, I got this chunk right here. That's going to get rid of a lot of the tree though, a lot of thickness of the tree. I just want to make sure that's the one I want. But I like the movement of the other 3 parts better. And I like that I won't see the scar. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and do it so I can see it, and then I'll show it to you. There we go. So then I can use this as a cutting. I will save this as a cutting and see if I can get this one to grow into another a little bonsai. Never throw away my cuttings. I always give it a try for a while to see if I can get some new growth. So there, we just cut it off right there, and it opened up the tree nicely already. We still have some depth back here with these branches, so I'm not too concerned, and this one can come back here. So we have some depth if we make some movement here later on with some wiring. And it just kind of opens it up and makes it a little bit more airy here. So I think I like my decision right now. And you don't see the scar. I'm just going to go ahead and clean it up just a little bit tighter. And I'm going to maybe put a little bit of paste on this one because it's big enough where we could get some, just a better seal and heal if we put some stuff on it. All right, so there we go. So a super close up on this heel here, this little wound right there. We'll try to make sure, I don't know if the camera's going to focus well on that or not, and we'll make sure that that does some good healing. So now we've got some nice movement in the tree, and it just aired it out a whole lot more. And just that little cut and a couple of little trims. If I move some of these branches with some wiring here at the next stage of this, spread this out a little bit. We got 2 trees growing tall, and again, I considered moving this, but I want to make sure that trunk maybe gets a little bit thicker before I go too crazy. So just a light prune today, nothing too big, just enough to kind of help this thing to ramify a little bit better. This branch here too, looks like there's a separation down lower on the branch, so if I cut it down here, I've got 2 buds going this direction here, and I got this one growing a little bit more this way and that way. That'll ramify as well. Alright, so just cutting a couple of these to 2 or 3 buds so they start to split. Shortens out my overall tree look just a little bit. This one's growing so fast, I do a little cut now, it's just going to help in ramification and hopefully getting a little bit more branches down the road. So the only thing else I'm going to do on this tree before we call it quits today is, you'll notice how thick it is right in here, and you'll notice how thick it is right in here. And so I have to decide if I'm just going to wire these down and open it up a little bit, or if I have to do a little bit more pruning. I think a little bit of wire would be nice on this tree to open it up a little bit. Back here, this one, we got a couple going straight up right here. And what's hard for you to see probably right here is in this tree we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 1, 2, 3 right at the same junction, and again, that would bulge later on if we don't cut one of those off. So I can go ahead and find that place, which decision I'm going to make here. Got a couple little ones growing straight up. I want to go every other. So that I actually have 3 right there. And I got 2 down below. So this is a real intricate, these 2 right here are growing right opposite each other. These are growing opposite each other. And so we want to make sure we kind of go every other. And I want to see it from the front so I know which one I'm cutting off. I think we're going to go ahead and cut the front one off. Alright. So I took this one off right here. And so now there's only 2 coming out of that junction, and now I have to go to the junction that I first started with. And I'm also going to cut the one that was more straight up. So now I don't have one across from here, and these 2 are just 2 that could be twisted a little bit and bent out. We'll see what this one does here over some time too in its growth pattern. So there you have it. We have just a little bit of pruning today, just a little bit of cutting to see if we can make this thing grow the way we want. This thing will grow a lot this year. It's the end of March. We've got a lot of snow outside, so it won't go outside for a while. It's been a very cold spring in Minnesota. But we get a little bit more round shape after we do some wiring. And we'll get this thing ready to grow for the next phase. Before we leave today, I want to show you a couple of updates. So I was able to repot some azaleas almost a month ago, and I was also to do an air layer on my Japanese maple and repot my Japanese maple. So I'm going to give you a little before and after shot of the Japanese maples, the azaleas, and we'll take a look at that before we wrap it up today. In a video from about 3 weeks ago, when I repotted my azaleas, this was my second repot. And this azalea has got finally some buds that came on it. So I've got some red buds that flowers are going to open up here. It's the 31st of March when taping today. So just before Easter Sunday this year, I'm getting myself a little bit of potential flowers to open up in the next day or two here. So an update shot for you for the azalea that I replanted with the nice buds. So I finally made the decision to cut this Japanese maple shorter. And so all I'm left with is the major branch right here, which has 4 areas of branches right here with the main one here, and this, which is nice. Got a nice big branch coming right here, big one up here, nice one coming back over here, little ones here, and then the ones you can't see right here and here in the very top, gonna get some upward motion there. Don't know if this is even gonna come back and be alive, but it seems a little bit alive towards the base. So we'll see what happens there. But I'll probably just end up lopping that one right off, and all these new ones will just give me some great growth. This has been in my plant room for less than a month. And now an update on one of my Japanese maples that I air layered just a few weeks back. There's my air layer, and we got some nice branching that's leafing out right there. And down below, those are doing fine right there. And as we pull up and go up the tree, it goes way up to the roof here. I just have it in this for a better angle of taking photographs, but there you go. It's the top of the tree, leafing out just fine. Everything's alive, and we're hoping that a lot of good roots are growing right in there. We'll see those in a couple more months. But in the meantime, it's doing fine in the plant room. So a before and after shot shows that this had, of course, no green leaves when I took it out of the cold frame in late February, early March. And I repotted this one but didn't show on video. Wanted to show an update. And this is doing very well in my plant room. These Chinese elms grow like weeds. And my concept here is going to be a root over rock. And I knew that this had some really nice root structure and hoped it went really down long. When I took it out of its soil, these roots went all the way down to the bottom of this pot, which you can't even see in this shot. I have one rock exposed right now. It's kind of growing over that rock, but the rock you can't see is down below over here, and the rocks kind of come together, and this main trunk goes down and around the rock in about 2 years. I'll give you an update on that. Maybe a year to 2 years when I repot that. We'll see how these roots are growing around the lower rocks. So got some nice movement. And this came out right after the first couple of days in the plant room. I got some early budding, back budded real nice right here. It's a little bit of a curve here, but it's close to this curve here where I'm just going to let it grow. It's really long right now. We'll let that get some thickness so we have a potential to keep a branch right there. So this is my Chinese elm after about 3 weeks in the plant room. For Dave's Bonsai, I'm Dave Weiss, and we'll catch you on the next one.